Welcome, welcome. Today we have with us Jewels Olsen. She is the chaplain for Applegate Home Care and Hospice for the Salt Lake and Utah County region. And today we're going to be covering bereavement support, what it is, and kind of the process of it. Thanks for being with us, Jewels.
Thank you.
Perfect. So the first question, just to kind of give everyone a little bit of background, is what is bereavement support?
So bereavement is when someone has lost a loved one, and everyone on the hospice team has been supporting them during the time that their loved one has been on hospice, but now their loved one is gone. And so we don't just leave them high and dry. They've got to have some support during this new weird time when they've gone from serving and loving and giving all day, every day, to now their loved one is gone. And now what? And who supports them? And so that's what bereavement is for. The social worker and the chaplain are there. Like, the social worker will take a plant like the day after, and then I go usually right after the funeral and support them, letting them talk about the process and how it went and what their thoughts and feelings are now, and do they have support? Do they have people to check on them, or are they all alone? And they get my support and the social worker for an entire year.
Oh, wow.
So that's cool.
That's awesome.
When they need us, when they need somebody to talk to, they still have us, and they get mailings that are very timely, like a 1 month and 3 month and 6 months, and when it's the holidays. So they get stuff in the mail, but to have a real person come is really valuable. So I'll go right after the funeral and we'll talk about, this is normal, what you're thinking and feeling. Like, your emotions are going to be all over the place, and you're going to have grief bursts where you just fall completely apart, and you're going to have mornings when you get up and you're going to be like, I just can't do today. We'll go back to bed and get up again in 2 more hours and see what you can do. And just to help them know that, yeah, they're a mess and it's normal.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I help them understand that, yeah, I'm here for you. This is some education that I can give you to help you feel like, oh, I'm doing it a step at a time. And I pick up some clothing items that were their loved ones. Like, if it's the woman has lost her husband, maybe she'll give me a couple shirts that he wore, and we make a teddy bear that's about 1 foot tall.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have a volunteer that sews beautiful teddy bears, and then a month later I bring back the completed teddy bear, and she has something to hold and love and remember him by. And so they get 2 in-person visits from me and 1 from the social worker, but they can have us for an entire year.
That's awesome. And so what other tools are available for them? So there's obviously the chaplain, the social worker. Are there other meeting groups and stuff like that?
You bet. Yeah, I do a grief support group once a month, the first Friday of each month in the American Fork office at 1:30, and they can come for as long as they need it. And it's so cool that they just support one another. They say, this is really rough and these are the challenges I'm going through. And then there's a couple other people there, usually 4 or 5 people or how many come. And so they get comfortable with each other, and they share ideas of, meal prep, or what they can do when it's their anniversary or her birthday or whatever. And it's good because it's not all coming from me. It's a group setting, and here they are, all grieving and all being a mess, because the first year is a mess.
No, I imagine that really helps to not feel alone. It's like somebody else is in my shoes, and then learning from them as well. So it's, yeah, I love that. That's really awesome.
Last month we had a woman that was just angry, and anger is definitely the grief cycle doesn't come one thing at a time. There's denial, then bargaining, then anger, then depression, then acceptance, but they can all come in one day. So this lady was definitely in anger, and got to have a safe space to express, this is what I'm thinking and feeling, and it's not doing well for me. And she talked for about, I would say, 5 minutes, and then the guy sitting next to her shared when he was there and what had helped him, and just said such kind words. And by the time we ended, it was a totally different tone. So you're right, being in a group is a really cool thing.
That's awesome. How do you go about the bereavement process with those of other faiths?
Oh, nobody's the same faith. Like,
Yeah.
there's a Catholic and someone who's Jewish and someone who's Buddhist and someone who's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they're all in the same room. And it's so cool because I don't bring what I think and feel and believe into any visit during hospice or bereavement. I just support whatever they hold to be true. And it's the same in the group. They honor each other and their beliefs, and they get to express themselves freely. So mostly you just listen, and that's what they need. They need someone to hear. When you speak words, all the stuff that's clanking around in your brain gets to be put into a legible, it makes sense. They get to articulate, oh, this is how I'm feeling, and this is why. And so it even strengthens their own beliefs and their faith because they're articulating to someone else what they're thinking and feeling. And then everything just kind of falls into place better.
Yeah, and honestly, the way I kind of think of it, just when you were saying that, I was imagining almost like a dam. All these feelings are all built up, and then just giving them a chance to speak. Like, they don't even know what they're going to say sometimes, but just really lets those emotions kind of flow out and just helps them through that feeling process.
And I challenge them. I say, write in a journal every day, probably 3 pages or 20 minutes or however much you can do, but it's kind of like, it's purging. It's kind of like throwing up, that you just get all those things out, and then they make sense because they're not just clanking around in there anymore. They make sense. They're on paper, and they kind of can see a path. Oh yeah, this is where I'm not thinking clearly, and I probably should be doing this, and it's all better. So yeah, today was a grief support group, and I challenged them all to write in their journals, and so that they could kind of be their own best therapist. And yeah.
Kind of like that, self-talk type of thing.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, sweet. Thanks, Jules. Thank you so much for your time, and it's honestly been a great conversation we've had here.
I love what I do.